Okay, I'm going to tell you how I bought 3 houses by the age of 22. This is going to be a little bit more of a relaxed video because oftentimes you see a lot of people that are sharing courses and saying, oh, how to become a millionaire by the age of 25. And it's like, well, that's not realistic for everybody. Not everybody can invest all their time and money with high risk to start a company. Like, they have kids, they have like spouses, they have a job they can't give up or they don't want to. I'm going to tell you low risk how to do this because I'm your average girl. I joined the military at 17 years old and I bought my house at 19 just because I had the VA loan benefit, but you can do this just as easily with an FHA loan, which most people qualify for. So once again, I'm military. I was stationed overseas at Kunsan and I'm busy. Obviously, I'm not like owning a house overseas in that area in South Korea, but loved it there. I was choosing where to relocate and I was like, you know what? I want to go somewhere that makes sense for my future, something that I can focus on for my career. I was partying all the time in Korea, indulging in the military experience. Shit, I was 17 years old. Just acting amok, right? Like, I had so much fun and I learned so much in my career, right? But now it was time to settle down, focus on me, my career, to be responsible, okay? And I came to Abilene, Texas because I heard the affordable cost of living. It was a great place to buy a home. It's a great place to have a side hustle and focus on you. Focus on the small, important things in life. And I said, okay, let's do it. When I first got here, I ended up buying, I did rent. I got here in December of 19 and for 3 months I rented an apartment because I did want to know. This is my first time buying a house. I'm literally still a teenager. I want to know where I'm at and where to buy because I know location is very important. So I ended up buying a house, and yes, it was March of 2020. And that was kind of scary because people kept on telling me, hey, it's a terrible time to buy. The housing market's going to crash, the world's ending, because COVID popped off literally that month, that same time. So it was very fresh. Nobody knew the seriousness of it. They all thought China was coming to get us and just chaos. So I said, okay, well, if the world's ending, I might as well go down at least owning a home. So of course I sent it and I immediately bought a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house for I think $190,000. Great deal. My interest rate was 2.125%. And what's great about that is obviously my payment's not significant, but I also don't know, apparently the world's ending. But then I learned that this was literally the smartest decision that I could ever make, maybe other than joining the military. But then rented every single room out to friends, people that I worked with. They were all other military members that I knew from work. And I was living in 1 bedroom and I rented out the other 4. From the get-go, I was cash flowing. I was receiving around $2,300 a month in rent for roommates living there, and my mortgage payment was I think like $1,500. I paid for all of the utilities and they just lived there, but they were renting for like $600. Whereas living in an apartment, you can maybe get a shitty place for $900 a month. And for them, they got a kitchen in the yard and, it was great. It was a win-win for everybody. Everybody was happy. It was a fair conversation that had happened, like, hey, are you good at this number? And they said, yeah, this is great. I'm glad to have had paid $600 a month for a room or whatever the numbers were, right? And once I realized that I was living in a house, building my equity and not on my dime, I said, I'm going to continue doing this. So I bought that house with the VA loan, but then I continued to buy. After a year of living there, I bought another home with the VA loan. But because I already had people renting out that home, I was already getting the income and paying for the mortgage. I then was able to qualify for the next property because that's not debt to me. That was income producing. So now my debt to income ratio is even better because I'm getting this extra income. So I qualified for the next VA loan in the same county. Yes, that's possible. And I got another home and I bought that with a VA loan as well. And guess what I did? I continued renting the rooms and I once again was not paying for either mortgages with my money. So I was like, as long as I'm single, I'm going to continue doing this. And I did it a third time, and I was renting the rooms, and I just kept on going through the process. And this is the timeline that I did, because realistically, if you're in your lower 20s or you're still a teenager, it's hard to save up $8,000 or, $10,000, $20,000, whatever is needed for that down payment of the home. But depending on where you live, obviously is going to dictate your down payment. But for us, like, that house was $190,000. Now, this was 5 years ago, but if it was an FHA loan at 3.5% down, that would have been $6,000 and some change, right? That's not doable. But let's just say that house were to appraise, because now I think the house is worth $270,000. 3.5% of that is $9,000. I mean, there's a couple $1,000 difference. If you can save up money, if you can save up $9,000 to get your down payment, right, you can still do this. You just have to be strategic, not spend money on random bullshit. That's better. Brain is back on. But yeah, so if you're an FHA buyer, still doable. Obviously, it's a little bit more money than 0% down, clearly, but it's still doable. Something to think about. Obviously, if you don't have that money, you have to get it, right? But ask a realtor, regardless. Like, sit down with a realtor and ask them, hey, what do I have to do to get there, right? A good realtor that is going to help you buy a house, even if it's not, as a VA loan and it's FHA, they're going to say, hey, I mean, it's $9,000. How much money do you have to save a month, right? Like, they're going to summon their inner finance bro and help you out, because at the end of the day, it's not just doing some paperwork. They're going to help you get to that goal, whether it's mentoring or challenging you to save money. Like, what can you do? Let's break it down, right? Regardless, if you have the cash and you're single with no kids, I encourage you to buy a home, rent out the rooms. You don't have to be single if, of course, you're in that situation where, yes, you are married and you guys are willing to have a friend rent a room. Even better. Now there's 3 of you contributing to that, or however you guys want to break it up. And great. You start building that equity and you're not paying the entire mortgage payment, or you have it covered. I bought my first home on Cinco de Mayo of 2020. I bought my next home, I think, September of 2021. So I was in that home for a year and a half. And then my third home was December 22. So it wasn't the exact 12-month mark that I did it, because obviously it takes time to save up that money. And even if you are doing a VA loan at 0% down, you still have to pay for an inspection. You still have to pay for, say, closing costs if the sellers don't help you out with that. You have to pay for the appraisal. I mean, there's things you have to pay for still. You have to pay for moving costs if that's applicable. And sometimes when you're first getting into it too, there's a lot of hesitance that you might feel. You might be scared for the fact that you have multiple mortgages, but if you have a secure job and you also have money saved up in like a savings account, great. You know that in the next 5 months, if it's not rented out, then yes, I can still cover the mortgage. You obviously don't want to jump into this and house hacking with multiple properties if you can't pay the mortgage, because obviously you don't want your credit to, that's just, you know how this is going to work, right? Your credit's going to get shot. You can't cover it. You get into collections, you foreclose on your home. You don't want this. So make sure, like, there's a healthy balance, right? And you need to really look at your budgeting and have a plan. But when I tell you, I was 17 when I joined and 19 when I bought my first home. I was young. I've always had a good head on my shoulders, but I was young, and what did I know about this? And I just had a realtor that kind of laid it out for me, and, well, that was for the first house, but I kind of did all the research on my own. I was Googling, I was talking to investors, and that's kind of how I learned and got started. I read some books, but I didn't go through some $5,000 class or look at somebody's freaking Instagram posting how to become a millionaire in real estate. Like, that's not realistic. I'm telling this as a loose video how I did it. And it was literally because I had the VA loan and a couple $1,000s in my bank account, and boom, it was super easy. And I said, I have closer to $1 million in real estate in Abilene, Texas. Like, it's not super expensive here because I just took that first step and bought a VA loan. And then when I realized, oh, it's not that bad and I can continue this process, I did. Literally not rocket science. You might qualify for this lifestyle or path of investing more than you think, because people are just scared because they've never done it before, or they're young, or they don't think they have the money for it, but it's not as expensive as you think. Now, of course, homeownership can get expensive if, you're doing 20% down or you have major issues that happen on your property. But then again, if you're renting out the rooms, like, you're not paying that mortgage. So if you are receiving BAH, say you're in the military, or whatever income you have if you're not military, then save that for an emergency. Oh, okay, if I'm saving $500 a month, $80 a month, it doesn't matter. Take that extra money. Don't go spending it on random stuff because you're cash flowing or you have that money. Save it to the side as a house emergency fund. And now if there is a plumbing leak, you can pay for it. Or, the HVAC goes out and needs to get serviced. Great. You have that money set aside. That's why you have that money. That's why you aim and do that math to make sure you can pay for those things. But you need to talk to a lender or a realtor to help you through those things. I will help you through those things. If I think that you're getting into a deal that might be sticky or like you're just pushing it too much, like I might say that. But you need to work with some honest professionals that will guide you through that process. But that's kind of how I bought mine, is just, through primary residences. I don't think that people should buy rental properties from the get-go. Like if you have a lot of cash, still buy that primary residence. If you still have cash after that, say, you inherited some money through a passing of a loved one, or, you won the lottery or whatever, great. If you won the lottery, different story, where you have a lot of money. But I would still be very strategic. Buy your primary residence, and any other money after that, like you could save and buy another primary residence a year later. That money's not going anywhere. Unless you're spending it. But once again, if you do have that cash, I encourage you, like, what is the most strategic way? Just because I have all this money, like if you were given $1 million, theoretically, still be strategic with it. Because that's a lot of power right there that you have for your future to take care of you and your family. So, I don't know, like I said, this is a little bit more of a relaxed conversation. I do hope that there was some value in that, and, maybe this encourages you or motivates you to kind of step forward. Even if you don't have that money, still talk with a professional. See what you have to do to get there, because realistically, you might be there sooner than you think. So if you have any questions for me, drop down a comment down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And once again, my channel is all real estate, finance, and self-development related. So if you are interested in those topics, this channel might be for you. If so, go ahead and subscribe and check out my other videos. But thank you for being here. I like these conversations. So if you want to have this conversation one-on-one with me, by all means, my information is down below and we can chat. But I'm out.